Gothic has very simple player stats. When you level up, you get some health and 10 skill points. Skill points can be applied immediately to your character. You need to find a skill teacher to help you hone those skills. These can be used to upgrade useful stats like strength, one-handed weapons, mana, along with less useful stats like pickpocketing and animal skinning. Early on, you should really be prioritizing strength or dexterity just so you can use a sword or bow. And trust me, you are going to need a weapon to handle a lot of the quests early on. Later down the line though, you can specialize into magic and obliterate everything. Skill points aren't infinite, but there are enough enemies and XP for you to invest in if you want to test some skills out. My advice is to power level what you want early game and use your remaining skill points for some vanity skills late game. So there are 3 playstyles you can go for in Gothic: a warrior, a ranger, and a mage. Warriors specialize in close range combat. In the early game, you'll be using one-handed weapons, and the more powerful late game weapons require two-handed training. Strength is the name of the game for you. It's about getting up close and personal with your enemies and killing them before they kill you. If you plan on playing a warrior, please have strong enough armor because you will be doing a lot of tanking. Rangers focus on long-distance combat with bows and crossbows, which scale off the user's dexterity. The upside of this class grants the user the advantage of range if they don't want to deal with the game's melee combat. Bows, especially late game, are very strong. The downside to bows is dealing with the game's aiming RNG. Gothic doesn't have a conventional aiming system like in other games. Here, you lock onto a target, press the attack button, and pray to God that the arrows hit your enemies before they get to you. Finally, we have magic. To the surprise of no one, magic's really strong, so no way the developers are just gonna give it to you right away. There are 6 circles of magic to learn from. The more circles we've learned, the better the spells we can use. Spell teachers aren't as common and out in the open as the other skill teachers. Spells require mana to use, and the better the spell, the more mana intensive it is. Spells benefit like bows and crossbows with the power of added distance, except unlike bows, they don't have a clunky hitbox. Now, Gothic may seem difficult and confusing, and maybe it's because of how I'm explaining it, but it really isn't. Gothic is less about skill and more about having high enough stats and numbers. Enemies have high number, you gotta do quests to match their numbers. You kill them till you reach an enemy with a bigger number. The classic case of mechanical difficulty. When everything can kill you, you gotta work your way up to match their strength. The rise in power is gradual too, so by the time you fight an army of orcs on your own, the progress feels earned and deserved. Okay Zane, you've been telling us all about Gothic and its different mechanics, factions, and skill systems, but why should I even engage in all this? Well, in James Paul G's paper on video game design and aesthetic experiences, he talks about how video game designers motivate the player to complete the game's tasks. In the paper, he discusses how humans better retain information by performing goal-based activities that they're invested in. He says, and I quote, "When a person has such a motivating action to take in an experience, the person stores, remembers, and can use the experience more deeply and more adeptly than in an experience where there is no effective affecting action." There might be some translation issues because this paper was originally written in Italian, but you should get the point. Motivation drives players to move forward, and the primary motivating factor in Gothic isn't the need to save the world, it's revenge. The drive to take on a creature or NPC that wiped the floor with you, and then actually doing it. It's just satisfying, but as the saying of the sea goes, there's always a bigger fish, or in this case, a shadow beast. So the basic cycle in Gothic is to complete quests, kill enemies, explore the areas, till you get roadblocked by another enemy that proves too strong for you, making you, the player, restart the whole entire process again with the hopes of besting your foes. That's what makes Gothic fun to me, the ever brutal climb to the top of the food chain. All these little systems of the NPCs, mechanics, exploration, all make the game come together to create something memorable. On the flip side of memorable, I've been putting off the game's main story because it's the weakest part of the game. Yeah, I consider it worse than the combat in some cases. So no matter which faction we join, we eventually end up in the center of the old camp where we complete our original errand of delivering the letter. However, the letter is addressed to the leader of the fire mages, Zardas, who disappeared not long after the barrier was set up. With our main lead and mission being cut short, we're free to progress our faction's quests, which eventually leads us to aiding the sect camp to contact their god. In a shocking twist, it's revealed the sleeper god the sect have been worshipping is evil. Not only that, it's also the reason the barrier malfunctioned in the first place. Realizing how dire things are, the water mages of the new camp send us out to find Zardes to aid with their escape plan. Zardes, naturally, points out how stupid the plan is and reveals the game's final twist, that our main character is in fact the Chosen One, destined to defeat the great evil and save the land. I used to think that this twist kind of ruined Gothic's story, but the more I think about it, it really doesn't change much. Our protagonist started out as a total loser who could barely kill a giant chicken, but by this point in the game, he's a certified badass. The fact he's a chosen hero destined to save the world really doesn't take away from his growth. Really, it makes the fact that you made it this far much more rewarding. It definitely feels like you're worthy of the title by the time Zardes tells you this. Anyways, Zardes makes you find a suit of ore armor and a magic sword called Eurizio to combat the sleeper, and for an extra boost of power, you stick the sword into the magic ore pile in the new camp. With your new sword in hand, you're ready to fight the sleeper, the final boss of this epic adventure. Can't wait to take this guy down with the sword. Oh, it's a puzzle fight. You can't even damage him with your fancy new sword directly. You have to strike his weird heart things to hurt him. The only time you actually strike him with the sword is in the ending cutscene. Why even give me this cool weapon in the first place if I can't beat the final boss with it? Well, at least we're told the barrier comes down after it's defeated. We don't even see it. We're just told this. This is the last thing we hear before the end credits.
When the sleeper was banished into his own dimension, I returned to daylight. The magic barrier had fallen. But for me, the adventure had only just begun.
Wonderful. So yeah, that was Gothic. On a technical level and a graphic level, Gothic can seem incredibly dated. But this was in 2001. The most popular example of an action RPG at the time was Ultima Underworld. Morrowind wouldn't be released for another year. The setting, character progression, and exploration all contributed to making this game a classic to this day. Many games like Gothic would be released as time went on, a lot by Piranha Bytes themselves, but it's nice to see the series' humble beginnings before its eventual modern day resurgence. To a young gamer in the 2000s, Gothic seemed like a bright sign for the future, and I guess in many ways they were right. See you next time.